What's up, guys? Welcome to Steve Talks. My name is Steve, and chat. What are we going to talk about today, huh? Okay, I have a topic for you. Let's talk about how Concord costed Sony 400 freaking million dollars to make. 400 million, okay, for Concord, which didn't even last a week, by the way. How? How does it happen? Sony, like, are you the same guys that made God of War and Spider Man? Like, oh my god, I'm going to show you later how much those games costed. But to hear that Concord costed $400 million, bro, let's just watch this video, guys.
I want to talk about Concord. I wasn't going to ever talk about this game again because who
Like
really
we
gives a
should.
shit? However, and I don't do journalism really anymore, as you guys know, and we talk about this a lot. I was a journalist
Okay.
at one time, and I used to break a lot of stories, and these days I don't really grind like that. So the stories that I break these days are usually people, always, not usually, always people coming to me. And someone who worked on Concord reached out to me, and I verified who this person was and went through all of that and talked to this person extensively, for a long time.
Okay.
And got some, I think, interesting information that I can share about Concord. And I think people will be interested about it. The reason that I wanted to talk about it is because some of the assumptions that I had made about the game were dead wrong as far as how
Ooh.
much it cost and how much Sony really lost on it.
I mean, didn't we all believe that it costed only $100 million? Like, that's the narrative that was going around, right? Like, Concord costed $100 million and it made just $1 million in sale. So it lost 99% of the value. And that's why Sony refunded it. It's like, we just made 1%. Might as well give the players back their money, And is that hit to the goodwill really worth the $1 million? You already lost 99. Might as well lose the one, right? So I think that is the narrative, like 100 million. Now when we come to know that it's 400 million, at least that's what I'm hearing. Let's see what he says, but 100 to 400, that's a lot, guys. Like, and especially coming from Sony, it's not like a small developer who fumbled the bag or something like that.
So the big thing that you really need to know here about this is that Concord cost about $400 million to make.
Oh my god.
I'm still wondering, like, how was it the animations and stuff? Because the animations were really good, but who gives a shit, dude? Like, oh my god, we still play GTA 5, right? Like, you know how the animations and stuff are. If the gameplay is good, as I had told in my Destiny video, like the foundation of a game, if it's good, people will come back, 400 million, just hearing that. And I come from a marketing background, okay? So even to me, like, especially for me, hearing 400 million and then fumbling it so bad.
And
They're
the
laughing,
story
dude.
goes that Concord, by the time Concord was, so in the first quarter of 2023, Concord had basically entered an alpha state. This was before Sony had even purchased the team.
Okay.
But Sony had been working with Probably Monsters, and which was the original owner of Firewalk and Firewalk, probably since late 2020, maybe 2021 at the latest on Concord. The game was in development before that. Up to the point that the game went into alpha state, they had already spent about $200 million on it.
Wait a minute. So just for the alpha, mind you, it's not even the beta, okay? Beta is where you give it to the public and you can get a sense of it. That's when you invest most of your money. You take feedback from your peers and the people who are actually interested in the game and make it better. That's when you invest more and more money. But just the alpha, that is just the internal developers. Hey, a bad person always thinks he's doing good. So think of it like that. Like in terms of that, like in movies, a bad person, he always thinks he's doing the right thing. Thanos, for example, he thought swiping. I still believe he should have done that, but whatever. I'm a pessimist. Snapping half the planet was a good thing. So 200 million in just the alpha, okay? Oof.
And it's unclear how much of that money is from Probably Monsters and the original investors into the game, and how much of that money was from Sony. There's this term in product development, not only with games, but really with everything. You can like manufacture a tchotchke. You guys might have heard of it. It's called minimum viability,
Oh,
or
minimum viability
minimum viable product.
product. Yep.
The idea behind this, or MVP, the idea behind this is that this is like what you're trying to achieve, and it's like once you cross this barrier, you feel comfortable selling it. It's not that it's the best it can be, or that it's what it's going to be by the time you launch it, because there's all sorts of extra stuff you do to it. But this is the minimum viability of the product.
Okay.
Um,
Like most live service games these days. Fuck live service, like most games these days. Okay, just ship the bare minimum and just ship it. $70 price tag. Boom. Day one patch, 90 GB. Oh my god, dude, that pisses me off so damn much. You're excited, you know, you want to play the game, you've preloaded everything. Day one patch, 50 GB. Like, how much ever fast your internet is, it's still going to take you minimum 20-30 minutes, right? Even if you have 1 GB connection, which here right now in Canada, hey, I have 500 Mbps up down, so probably 1 hour. But still, dude, jeez, that pisses me off so much. The MVP.
when the game had already had $200 million spent on it and was basically in an alpha form in quarter one of 2023, from that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. The scuttlebutt behind the
Who who at Sony thought, you know, like they saw the alpha. Even they didn't feel comfortable shipping it. Like it was alpha, of course. And they thought, why not add more 200? Oh my god. My mind is racing because I'm just thinking like what can the thought process be, okay? Like the higher ups at Sony. Of course, the lower execs are not going to do that decision, you know, like, oh, let's put $200 million, but maybe, you know, have some incentive program, you keep the product up to, because come on, let's face it, Sony knows how to develop games. It's no, it's not a fluke that they keep developing bangers like God of War, Forbidden West, and all those. Ghost of Tsushima, that was a new IP, okay? They have brains, obviously they have brains. And another thing, okay, and this is not a conspiracy theory, by the way, because you know, the PS5 Pro, I think Concord was their star product. I think that. And I think they were going to sell it for around 600, but then Concord flopped and they said, nah, we have to recoup the prices. So they thought, why not $700? Excluding the disk drive, by the way, which is crazy for me. Like, you're removing value and you're adding the price. Like, I don't know what they are smoking up at Sony, but good on them, bro. But just thinking about this, like, you saw the alpha, you go, you check everything. Oh, we're going to invest more $200 million. Like, oh my god, like,
scenes about Concord is that the game was in a laughable shape
laughable, mind you, laughable.
when it was shown. And basically, like when the alpha was ready to go and they were kind of being like, you know, we're ready to kind of get moving towards getting this thing out in the next year or two. It was in such
Next
horrible
year or two, didn't this game develop like for 8 years? Like, 8 goddamn years to develop this game?
shape that Sony felt like they needed to spend that much money again. So, you know, 200 plus 200 to get the game to the MVP status, not to the status of it being like a
Holy
great game.
shit. Okay, so I got it wrong. The 200 million was not even for the MVP status, like the minimum viable product. Like, we can at least just ship it. Like the PS Store and everything, all the policy will just approve it. Okay, just ship it. Like, you know, when Cyberpunk launched, that was MVP. Minimum viable. Like, it just ran, it barely ran, but it ran. I remember when I pre-ordered Cyberpunk, the hype was real, you know, got into the hype. And I pre-ordered it in the last week, I think. I had a PS5, sorry, I had a PS4 that time. It was almost going to explode, I feel, and I played the whole game for 2 days straight in 15 FPS. I didn't have a PS5 Pro, by the way. Sorry, PS4 Pro. I played it in 15 FPS because that's how much I loved that game, you know. I still have that memory sitting in. My mom thought I was dead, by the way. I was in my room for 2 days straight just playing the heck out of the game. My brother refused to play it because 15 FPS was too jarring for him. I just got hooked onto it, like Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves, everything. But I'm just saying, like, that is minimum viable product. Like, how horrible that was. It was not at 200 million by this. Sony invested more 200, then they got to that MVP, the laughably state that they were. Oh my
To
god,
get it
bro.
to just viability. And that at that time in quarter one 2023, there was nothing done. Like, a major expense was having to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios.
So they didn't even create it themselves. Oh my god, how bad are these developers, man?
To finish building the game out.
I'm sorry, I'm pausing it a lot, but Wasn't that a red flag that the studio that were creating it spent $200 million? It was not even at the MVP status. Like, it was not even viable to ship it, and they thought, let's invest more 200 million and outsource it. Like, also another thing, by the way, before this game was announced, like fully revealed and everything, Amazon Studios have their, what is the series called? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Video game anthology, yeah. Secret Level, okay. Here you see, Concord is featured in one of the episodes, by the way. Sony was so confident they wanted to ship it with the levels of God of War, Uncharted, and all those series, like before even putting it in the consumer's hand, by the way. That's what's wrong with gaming nowadays. Oh, this is for another time, but another time means I'll look at it. I'm being very passionate about this because I'm a marketer, of course, and 400 million, dude, like, jeez.
And that two fundamental things were not worked on at all up to the point in which the game was shown in alpha. Onboarding, nothing about that. No, like there was nothing about how players get on, like how they make their character, all that kind of stuff, or, you know, choose their character and get there. And monetization. Two very expensive, very specific and boutique things that happen to games like this.
I feel if the game is good, it doesn't need to add monetizations, right? Like, I feel there should be a law. If your game is about $30, it cannot have microtransactions. If your game is below $30, you can have microtransactions. So something like that. Maybe 20, I don't know. But if your game is good enough, it doesn't need microtransactions. Like, come on, bro. I'm again going to give you the example of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man was how much? 20 hours? I complete in 25 hours. I think I platinumed it, or 35 hours. I don't remember, but Spider-Man 2. You don't need microtransactions in everything, and that's what Sony's strategy is right now. They want to make a game where you can microtransaction. No, you don't need it. If your game has good standing, good foundation, you don't need it.
And so that's the first thing that I wanted to say, is that it's not only about the ongoing cost, which would be in the millions to keep the game going per month,
Okay.
but that the
Because of
game
live
cost
service.
about $400 million to make, soup to nuts. Sony put most of that money in, and it is not only so, because we had kind of said like this must be Sony's biggest loss ever on a game, and it is.
Yet.
It's the biggest game Sony's ever released from a budgetary standpoint from the first party or second party.
Now let's go to that Joe Raptor post. Horizon Zero Dawn, 47 million. Banger of a game. Ghost of Tsushima. I feel this game is very underrated. When I first started playing this game, I played, I think, around 6 hours or something, and then I completely stopped. I didn't understand, like all the stances and all, because I didn't get deep. It's a slow burn at first, but when it gets going, when you get to the story, man, Spider-Man 1, 90 million. Oh my god, it completely changed the way we see superhero games. Like God of War Ragnarok, 200 million. Horizon Forbidden West, still skeptical, 220 million. Why? I don't know. It's a good game, I'll tell you, but it's boring for me. I don't know why. Last of Us 2. Again, perspective, like some people feel it's the worst of the series, some people feel like it's a banger. Again, it's on different perspectives. Whatever, for me, it's a good game. Spider-Man 2, 315 million. Okay, this costs more than Spider-Man No Way Home, by the way. I think that costed around 200, 250 million to make, with the marketing cost and all, maybe 280, but Spider-Man 2, 315. But completely worth it, I feel. Like how they included Venom and all that stuff, and so many more trees can be made with that, like Venom DLC, Carnage DLC and all. And then there's Concord, $400 million, dude. Like, just imagine putting Concord here and number one, $400 million. Like, what were they thinking? Case studies are going to be built in Harvard University, for ages people are going to be talking about this. It's good that they refunded the game and took the big L and they apologized, but there are case studies going to be made on how bad Sony fumbled,
So let that sink in.
It's crazy.
And it's totally unintuitive.
I'm letting it sink in.
There are games that are in development right now at Sony first and second party that are more expensive than this. But as of the...
That's why I said yet. Bro, I don't think a AAA game should cost 400 to 500 million to make, dude. Like half a billion to make, unless it's GTA. Like unless it's GTA, because it has a proven track record.
Games that have come out so far. So think about like Spider-Man 2 and so on and so forth. We know The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million. Spider-Man 3 is going to cost about $350 million. This game costs more than that.
350? I would say not bad. 315 for Spider-Man 2 and then Spider-Man 3, 350. Not bad. Not bad at all. With inflation and stuff. Okay, fine. There's one game studio blindly I'll give my money to, okay? Blindly. That's Insomniac Games. I think Sony acquired a gold mine with them. Like they got them for dirt cheap and the bangers that they are producing. Also, if you have seen the Wolverine leaks, like I can't wait for it, dude. Like blindly I am ready to give my money to them.
And they lost all of it because they made no money. They made about $1 million gross revenue, and then
And
they
they
gave it
said
all back. So this is a huge, multiple hundreds of millions
zero,
of dollar
nada.
loss. Now the question is, why? Why did this happen?
Why? Because Sony is filled with all yes men. Like you see the character design, who would? Okay. This is my favorite one. Just like a fat ninja turtle. Would you want to play this? You see my face? I'm genuinely dumbstruck. Like, who at Sony? I don't think so. They are dumb. Okay, okay. Here are all the characters. Like, oh my god, oh my god, dude. Would you want to play as a trash can? And this is a hero shooter, by the way. You're supposed to feel like a hero. And the robots have pronouns. That was genuinely shocking to me. Like, the robots had pronouns. Like, hey, I'm all for, you do you and stuff. But when the robots start having pronouns, we have a big problem, okay? And I feel Sony has a lot of yes men at their studios. Think of it like that. Like you're a lower level exec. You want to say, no, these character designs are utterly shite. We can make them way better. We can make them sexy. We can make them nice. Like the ninja should be a ninja. Like the buff character should, have nice big arms and stuff. What they will think? You hate people that look differently. You're going to be in their crosshairs, and next time they're going to try everything to fire you. Would you want that? No. So they have to say yes. Like the lower level execs and the people blame the devs all the time. Sorry, people blame the execs all the time, but the devs are to blame as well, because I remember the devs were mistreating. I don't know what the word is exactly right now, but they were saying bad things to the people who were commenting, about the character design. Like, you have no job, you're this, you're that, and all. So Concord, in a sense, I feel PlayStation is filled with all the yes men there, and that's why this flopped horribly. As what is saying, why?
This game was heavily championed behind the scenes. Now we know this because Sony ended up. What's funny is that the game is presented in Q1 2023 as this. We're kind of getting towards the end. The game is nowhere near being done. It's in a horrible position, and then Sony buys the team. The idea behind this was
How smart.
And the term apparently verbatim had been used that Concord is the future of PlayStation. That they had such major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars-like project for Sony. That it can be repeatedly revisited over and over and over again, not only in cross-media, but in what we were seeing. We've already...
You see the people listening there, even they are in utter disbelief. Like, I can look at their faces and I know I'm looking like that exactly. Like,
kind of seen little bits of it. So the weekly story vignettes that they were going to release, and then of course the inclusion in Amazon's Secret Levels anthology, that's like just scratching the surface of it. Ironically, the game was codenamed Chaos behind the scenes. And
perfectly
a major
apt.
thing about the game is that there was, and I think we can kind of get this vibe from just the nature of the people making it and kind of the way the game reads and all that, a toxic positivity vibe. You weren't allowed to say anything.
Bang on. Yes, man.
Apparently internally about this game.
Oh my god, I was right on the money, dude. Like, exactly. Any sane person can make that conclusion. Like, they were filled with yes men. And of course, you're not supposed to say anything about it. Oh my god, toxic positivity. I'm going to put that in my vocabulary. Oh my lord. I'm just going to close this off. It's going to rile me up more and more.
About how like something's wrong with it, character designs are not right, and so on and so forth. They really truly believe this was Herman Hulst's baby, apparently, and he internally was himself a massive champion of the game.
Of course.
So it's not that. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, it's some interesting information, of course, but it's that I had said when people were like Concord lost $200 million. Now people were pulling that money out because that's basically how much like some of the first party games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, etc., kind of cost in that frame. And I was like, there's no way that it costs that much. I was saying like it cost 9 figures, probably like low $100 million, but there's no way it cost $200 million. No, it cost $400 million.
Jesus Christ.
So, and I am totally solid on this source, by the way. So that's why I'm willing to share it with you. Because again, I'm not really a journalist. So yeah, the big things to take away: $400 million loss. The game was in horrible shape as of 18 months
Laughably, by the
before
way.
release. Not even monetization, no onboarding, most content not even there. The game was in such bad shape at that point that they spent the budget of it again in urgent outsourcing to get the game finished.
That's one more key takeaway I feel most people are not talking. The studio itself couldn't handle it. Like, they didn't make it. They had to outsource it to other PlayStation studios.
From all of these different angles over an 18-month period. Internally, the game was considered part of the future of PlayStation with heavy cross-media references and a system of toxic positivity surrounding it that didn't allow anyone to meaningfully change the course of the game.
When you can't take constructive criticism, that's when I feel you're set up to fail. That's why I keep telling in my videos when I make, if you have constructive criticism, please let me know. How can I make my stream better? How can I make my, I told you I'm going to improve my gear and everything, but if anything can be made better, tell me. If I need to speak loudly, if I need to speak slowly, whatever it is, constructive criticism, I'm always open to it.
Because if the people at the top truly believe in something, you're not going to be able to do much about that, I don't think, from the trenches. So I thought people would be interested in that, and just wanted to throw that out there. That yeah, Star Wars really apparently, or I'm sorry, Star Wars. Sony really saw this as a Star Wars like project for them, like the potential.
But why? You know how bad Star Wars is these days? I'll give you one hot take. Apart from the lightsabers and maybe Jabba the Hutt, he's the most well-known character, at least for me. I find nothing interesting about the Star Wars series. The Jedi games with Carl Cresto, whatever his name was, made by EA. Okay, those are bangers. Okay, I played them, but I wouldn't say they're like 10 out of 10 games. 7, 8 maybe. The second one I'm yet to play, but I'm saving it. I'm like, I'm going to get over everything, the current backlog that I have, because as I said, I'm not into live services anymore. Not wasting my time into that. I'm playing these amazing, beautiful games. Plucky Squire is the one I'm currently interested in. Like, I'm hearing a lot of good things about Plucky Squire. Want to give that a try.
And now it makes sense. Yeah. Not only why they spent so much money on it, but why they bought the team. So there are people there, and to me, it's unclear who exactly the people are. I know some of the names. I don't want to get too deep into that because a lot of the things I learned were off the record, but obviously this is on background. And it's like, yeah, now it makes a little more sense. You spent, and by the way, the $400 million not included in how much it cost to buy the team.
$400 million not included in how much it costs to buy the team. Did I hear that right? I'm going to
sense. You spent, and by the way, the $400 million not included in how much it cost to buy the team.
Then where did that money go, bro? Like, I'm genuinely dumbstruck. Like, where did that money go? I'm assuming another 100 million to buy the team. So it literally costed $500 million to make this game. And it didn't even last a week. They need better financial analysts. I think nothing is going to work. Fuck that. No financial analyst, nothing like that. All the yes men, and as he said, the higher executive, it was his champion game. Like, the future of PlayStation. Like, wow. Woo, boy. Insert Gambit meme here.
So yeah, so Concord is Sony's.
He literally went and said, "Oh boy, I'm about to make a name for myself," and he did. He did. This game is gonna be remembered for generations, I'm telling you. It is gonna be a champion of PlayStation. It is. It is. The champion on how to spend $500 million and not having your game last even a week.
Biggest released game by budget to date, and it is the biggest loss that they've ever had as a company on a project before.
Not as a company, I feel in any released media, right? Like any entertainment media, $500 million and all of it is a loss. Like, my God, dude. You could have made almost 3 God of War games with that. Oh my God. You could have given us 2 good quality Spider-Man spin-off games with that. Oh my God, dude. The amount of Ghost of Tsushima, oh man, I just don't even want to think about it. But that's it, guys. I think that's the problem. Like, as he said, like internally, this was a champion of PlayStation. Anybody who said anything against it, I think would be axed. That's why they had to keep quiet. They are not dumb. I don't think they are dumb. They just couldn't say it. Oh man, but hearing almost $500 million on this, that's a lot, man. Oof. Okay, I think that's it. I keep forgetting to tell you to subscribe, like, it helps the algorithm apparently. Also, if my videos bring any joy to you, it brought any, any kind of information or something, just hit the like button, subscribe again. Take care. Steve Talks out.